Hello, Miss Liza. This is Kurt Jacoby, and here is my video about the 21st century war and its causes and its effects. Okay, so, no, my camera's, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. There we go, we're fine. I'll just hold it. Anyway, so, what I chose my war on was the Iraq War, I guess, or my dad likes to call it like Operation Iraq. I don't know. He was in that war, so I thought it'd be fun because we don't really like talk about the war like in the house. So I was like, you know what? It's a perfect time to like, I don't know, discover it, I guess. And I'm not that big on history. So yeah. Anyway, let's get into it. So the Iraq War. This war started like March 2003 and it ended about 2011. Now there was this like two phases to the war, I guess. There is the first phase, which I like will probably be focusing the most on. That's when the US like they attacked. They got in that country. They were taking things over. They wanted to defeat Iraq military, Iraq groups, and all that stuff. So yeah. Okay, sorry. Anyway, so there was some tension before the war started. And Saddam Hussein, I don't know if I'm saying that right, had previously began rising in power by harshly suppressing like these uprisings in other surrounding areas and countries. Now, seeing this, the UN began to place restrictions towards their economy, so he couldn't like really get in there. And then they later inspected the country and found out he had like prohibited weapons of mass destruction. And they were like, oh, no. And they started like going in like politically on Iraq. And then fast forward a couple years later, that was all like mid 90s. So fast forward to 2001 and 9/11 happens. And so that was really like bad for the America. So George Bush, he responded to that and was like, I'm going to defeat terrorism, basically. And Saddam Hussein was known to support the group that did 9/11, Al Qaeda. So that's when Bush really wasn't having it. And then later, like around 2003, they were still doing like investigations into Iraq to see if they still had those weapons of mass destruction, and they did. And Bush didn't like that, so he was like, you know what, let's go for it. So he just really declared war right then and there. And yeah, so then the war, before it started, Bush gave Hussein a chance to leave the country, but Hussein refused. So Bush sent in air raids and bombers to bomb the area where Hussein was said to be in the bunker. The Iraqi forces didn't resist too much against the Americans. However, other groups like the Ba'athist regime, I think I'm saying that wrong, and down in southern Iraq didn't resist the US, and they were like primarily going in on the US too, as the US tried to advance to the northern parts of the country. Later, the British joined the cause and went for the city al-Basra. And then the US forces deployed in the north, and the US and British took over just the country. Not the country, but like a good amount of cities in the country, and defeated a lot of the groups. Then they found Hussein, they captured him, and he was convicted for his crimes against humanity. And then, so them going into the country was all because of Bush's, like, they did 9/11, they support Al Qaeda, let's go in. They have these illegal weapons that could kill us all, let's go in. That's what happened, that was the cause. And then the effect was the whole Iraq war, bombing, about 8 years of just ongoing, like, chaos in Iraq. And then, because so like going further, because the Ba'athist group, the group I already said, was defeated, a lot of chaos was and looting was taking place in all these major cities of Iraq, and it sparked guerrilla warfare against government forces and troops, and that went on for a while. And many people died due to all this, and soon the country actually fell into debt, and the GDP went like, it tanked, because the country was so chaotic and so like overwhelmed with this fighting. And then the country, or the whole war, with the GDP falling, the bombing of everything, so it went from a cause and then to effect of the war, and then the war itself could be seen as a cause towards these towards the controversiality, not a word, but it is now, of the war. A lot of people saw this as a anti-Arab and anti-racial, or racial war, not anti-racial, anti-Arab and racial war, while others saw it as anti-terrorism. And it was just a lot of like this controversy sparked from the efforts of George W. Bush Jr. and the war. And then a lot of people in the US, like, they supported it at first, and then some people who supported it began to unsupport it, and was like, why is Bush doing this? That's my report on the 21st century Iraq War. Miss Liza, see you later.